Um, Good evening. My name is Catherine. I am heading the Research and Publication Department at MRC. I have a background in science and liberal arts. In this presentation, I'll be analyzing what are the various policy frontiers for blue economy in the Indian Ocean region, and essentially the governance framework and the required for achieving the blue economy goals and sustainable ocean management. So why blue economy? So in the early 2000s, when the climate change debate and the various other summits and global leaders drew attention to the various implications of climate change, the impact on ocean became prominent. Plus, how to achieve the various demands of the growing population became prominent. So that's when the concept of blue economy became relevant. And so, blue economy essentially in itself uh, includes the notion of sustainability. That's why blue economy is something that the world leaders are now focusing on, because the sustainability concept, along with the economic prospects of oceans, are combined into this particular term, blue economy. So, what are the global issues that we are facing today? The global population is projected to reach 10 billion by 2050. We have unsustainable demands and environmental externalities, which includes unchecked use and pollution. We are faced with food and energy crisis, and of course, the climate crisis, which includes ocean acidification, loss of biodiversity, habitat destruction, etc. So the plan that the world leaders, the various other international forums have come up with essentially includes the new ocean agenda, which includes the five pillars: the ocean wealth, health, equity, ocean knowledge, and finance. And this was actually to be achieved by 2020, but I think we've long passed that deadline. But essentially, the 2030 agenda is also pretty much the same, where we want to achieve an ocean where we use its wealth but maintain its health, use the ocean equitably, generate enough knowledge to understand the oceans without destructing its features, and plus we develop ocean finance so that the ocean is accessible to everybody. And in India, as such, the government also has a vision 2030 where we are trying to achieve blue economy, and blue economy is recognized as one of the 10 core dimensions of growth, which was enunciated in February 2019. We have a vast EEZ, which is about 2 million square kilometers. And this is something that is untapped and has a lot of potential. It has not been properly analyzed or mapped yet. And the Indian Ocean region itself produces a lot of opportunities because it has a lot of geopolitical significance. There are a couple of choke points which are essential for global trade, security, and energy security, etc. We have diverse economies. The countries around India in the Indian Ocean region don't exactly have the same kind of economic structure. We have rich marine biodiversity. We have abundant natural resources, non-living resources, living resources. We have essential climate vulnerability, which hasn't been studied properly, but with the data that we already have, we know that Indian Ocean is particularly vulnerable to a lot of impacts. And then we have a lot of cultural and social factors to be taken into account because of the various coastal communities that are dependent on these regions, and because India itself has a lot of a huge coastline. We have a lot of countries around India as well. So there are a lot of cultural and social factor with a lot of countries dependent on oceans significantly. And then this calls for regional cooperation. We have a lot of associations such as IORA, BeamStech, etc., where regional cooperation is being encouraged for the Indian Ocean region with a lot of agendas, but uh, without essentially, so we have a lot of platforms to actually undertake a lot of implementation. And then we have a lot of security challenges due to piracy, the unplanned fishing, etc. So these are essentially what the background of Indian Ocean region, what you're looking at. So, what are the major threats and challenges that we have? The environmental threats, of course, the infrastructure burdens and failures. So, deploying a lot of infrastructure and failures of a lot of infrastructure that have already been deployed are something that is already present as a challenge. There's a lot of data gap and inadequate monitoring, lack of capability and capacity building, and there's a lot of stakeholder miscommunication. Even within India, we have a lot of different ministries, but the data sharing, the communication lines of action are something that we essentially don't have proper guidelines and proper SOPs to guide such networks. So blue economy essentially includes a lot of various industries, and but these industries don't act in silos. They are all interconnected. They all share the same space. They all share time. And implementing blue economy essentially from the policy perspective is incomplete without proper planning, and that's where marine spatial planning is essential, and which becomes the foundation of proper blue economic initiatives. That MSP makes blue economy transparent and predictable, and it gives it a proper legislative background, and uh, actually makes you aware of the avenues for livelihood development, environmental sustainability, etc. So, with the background that I've given you about what blue economy is and what is the status of blue economy, how people are thinking about blue economy, and why MSP is required for blue economy. Now, in all of these different initiatives, so these are the different initiatives by UN, which includes the Sustainable Ocean Economy for 2050, the future of food from the sea, the ocean as solution to climate change. All these policy documents essentially give guidelines to countries to how to implement blue economy. But where is the underwater awareness in all of this, and where do we need the underwater awareness? So underwater awareness, the surface, subsurface, underwater data is essentially required so that we can make blue economy work together with sustainability, digital transformation, and strategic security. So this framework actually looks at all the four sectors together. And this leads to multidisciplinary knowledge generation, that is looking at the same problem from different perspectives. And this ultimately leads to informed planning. And proper planning will essentially tell us where we lack in capacities and capabilities so that our investments are driven to proper avenues. So this is basically how we envision blue economy, the approach. So UDA feeds into MSP, and MSP feeds into blue economy. So UDA essentially encompasses data collection, monitoring and simulations, data analysis, using the collected data and simulated information. And then MSP is integrating the UDA data, the zoning, the conflict resolution, the sustainability assessment, etc. And blue economy essentially is uh, finally implementing sustainable economic activities, uh, and also providing with enabling policy and governance, investing in innovation and research, investing in capacity building, and also implementing proper climate resilience ecosystem. So, what is the benefit of this UDA-driven approach? So, when I say underwater domain awareness, as an organization, MRC, we look at an economical and efficient model, which is time saving and leads to informed decision making, where with the available data, instead of looking for more deployment of resources, uh, uh, we are looking at a modeling and simulation model with after which we create scenarios. We try for a predictive analysis model where we predict different scenarios so that we can engage the stakeholders before proper investments are undertaken, before proper decisions are undertaken. So predictive analysis actually helps stakeholder engagement. And this leads to cost effective planning. And and then if then taking it a step further to field validation, if there are any gaps, if there are any missteps, we can bring it back for adaptive management. So a policy which is based on UDA is flexible, which is very essential for any good policy. So I'll conclude with this case study that is based on Latvia, a European country. So Latvia has developed a ecosystem-based marine spatial plan for their blue economy. So they have created benthic habitat maps, and they've done extensive mapping, and they have tried to create a synergy between land and marine activities and identified a lot of conservation hotspots. And then after mapping and after strategizing their visions, goals, and what they want out of their economy out of the marine spatial plans, they created 4 scenarios. And by the way, this is a very small country. It's about 17,656 kilometers square economic EEZ. And India has about 2 million square kilometers of EEZ. So this particular country has created 4 scenarios based on a multi-criteria analysis, which includes social, economic, environmental, and various other factors. And they have actually come up with 4 scenarios. The first scenario is for economic growth. So what kind of wind farm area should be allocated, aquaculture area should be allocated, how should the ship lanes be allowed. So this is the economic growth scenario. And then we have the social well-being scenario. And then we have the resilient marine ecosystem scenario. And then we have development within a common Baltic sea space. So if we compare it with our condition, it is the Indian Ocean region. So how will the development of India with respect to the Indian Ocean region be possible, or what are the various opportunities and gaps? So that's how we can actually correlate the plan that Latvia has done to what we can do. And this is something that is essentially has a lot of UDA factors, because it takes into account the simulation part, the mapping part, and also understanding what is happening between different industries. But essentially, this also doesn't take into consideration a lot of the underwater scenarios, the noise mapping, etc. But what we are proposing is so what the blue economy concept for Indian Ocean region essentially should consider is the underwater factors, which essentially includes the mapping of all the biodiversity in India. So we have a large area. So essentially we cannot completely take this particular example and install into our Indian Ocean region, because Indian Ocean region has various other factors. The biodiversity is very different. The noise mapping situation is different. The trade intensity is different. The communities, the intensive use, the population is different. So based on all of that, as I initially said, UDA, when we take in the framework, when we take into blue economy, strategic security, the environmental sustainability, the strategic security, etc., that's where we can come up with a blue economy plan where the results are something which we can which will essentially give us the desired results, proper economic growth with the environmental sustainability. So the future outlook essentially will include the integration of UDA with national policies, and the required capacity in various aspects, the research, technology, and the deployment categories. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you.